Hello everyone. It is a pleasure to welcome all of you watching this video. Beginning today, we will present a series of video lectures exploring the meaning of Hongik ingan living. The series consists of 40 lectures divided into 10 parts. Part 1. Hongik ingan living. Part 2. Movement is the essence of the world. Part 3. All movement is interconnected. Part 4. Differences and changes in movement and awareness. Part 5. One origin, we are one. Part 6. Voluntary synchronization. Part 7. The voluntary and open solidarity of Hongik ingan living. Part 8. The Hongik ingan living solidarity headquarters. Part 9. Hongik ingan living and humanity's intellectual and cultural activities. Part 10. Hongik ingan living in a new era. Today, we begin with Lecture 1 of Part 1. What is Hongik ingan living? Hongik ingan means to broadly benefit humanity. Hongik ingan living means actually living a life that broadly benefits humanity. Hongik ingan living is not an abstract ideal detached from our lives. It is our life as we actually live it. The difference between Hongik ingan and Hongik ingan living. Let us begin by examining the difference between Hongik ingan and Hongik ingan living. Hongik ingan expresses the inherent and essential direction toward which our lives as human beings are oriented. Hongik ingan living is the process of embodying that inherent and essential direction in our actual lives. For example, the word health and the practice of living a healthy life are connected, but they are not the same. No matter how well we understand the importance of health, we cannot live a healthy life if we neglect our bodies and refuse to change unhealthy habits. The same is true of the word love and the act of living with love. Knowing many beautiful words about love does not necessarily mean that a person practices love in daily life. Love becomes visible in life when we listen to the person beside us, extend a helping hand in difficult times, apologize when we have done wrong, and willingly share what we have. The same distinction applies to Hongik ingan and Hongik ingan living. If Hongik ingan represents a value and a direction, Hongik ingan living is a life that walks and moves in that direction. Someone helps a person who has fallen to stand again. Someone rescues a person in danger. Someone shares newly discovered knowledge and technology so that more people can live safely and healthily. People who disagree with one another nevertheless search for a way to live together. For the sake of future generations not yet born, people give up some of today's convenience to protect the environment in which those generations will live. These actions take different forms, but they all move in the same direction. They protect and sustain human life, enable people to live together, and help life continue far into the future. To embody that direction in our everyday choices and actions is Hongik ingan living. Hongik ingan living is not an abstract idea or slogan, but a way of life. We possess many good words: love, justice, peace, freedom, conscience, consideration, and coexistence. However, even the finest words remain mere slogans if they are only repeated verbally. A person may call for peace while acting violently toward those nearby. A person may speak of justice while applying principles only when they work in their own favor. A person may call for benefiting humanity while ignoring the suffering of others. What matters, therefore, is not which words we possess, but how those words are revealed through our actions. Hongik ingan living does not refer only to extraordinary deeds performed by exceptional heroes. It may begin with stopping for a moment to give directions to someone who is lost. It may begin with correcting the harm caused by our mistake before making excuses. It may mean treating a shared space responsibly rather than using it carelessly as though it belonged to us alone. It may mean refusing to exploit a vulnerable person for unfair gain. For someone who prepares food in a restaurant, serving customers safe and honestly prepared food can be a practice of Hongik ingan. For someone who manufactures products, placing the lives and safety of users first is a practice of Hongik ingan. For someone who creates laws and institutions, ensuring that they operate fairly not only for the powerful, but also for those who struggle to make their voices heard, is a practice of Hongik ingan. Scholars can participate in Hongik ingan living by honestly seeking the truth. Artists can participate by awakening the human heart. Farmers can participate by cultivating and sustaining life. Parents can participate by caring for their children so that they may grow into whole and independent persons. Whatever our occupation, however high or low our social position, and whether we possess much or little, we can begin. It begins by becoming aware of how our choices and movements affect others from the very place where we stand. Hongik ingan living is therefore not the memorization of a completed doctrine. It is a way of living in which we continually ask in our daily relationships and choices, does this protect and sustain people? Does it help us live together? Does it allow life and its beneficial possibilities to continue far into the future? Looking at the world from the place of empty awareness. On what basis, then, can we examine our actions? We often view the world through ideas and judgments we have already formed. That person is on my side. That person is not on my side. I am right and the other person is wrong. If something benefits me, it is good. If it causes me a loss, it is bad. Because that person behaved in a certain way in the past, that person will certainly behave the same way again. Such judgments are sometimes necessary. We need to avoid danger and make quick decisions based on experience. However, when our preconceptions move too far ahead of us, we may fail to see what is actually happening before our eyes. We prepare our response before listening to the other person until the end. We take sides before confirming the facts. We mistake our own desires and fears for reality itself. At such moments, we pause. Before deciding that something is right or wrong, before reacting with liking or dislike, and before separating people into our side and their side, we try to become aware of what is actually happening here and now. We call this the place of empty awareness. Empty does not mean having no thoughts, nor does it mean abandoning all our knowledge and memories. It means not filling the entire world with our own thoughts, emotions, and desires. It means leaving room for facts, other people, and new possibilities to enter. When we are angry, we can recognize, I am angry right now. When we are afraid, we can observe. Fear is trying to direct my judgment. Even when we are certain that we are right, we can ask, is there something I have failed to see? When this small space opens within us, we gain the ability to choose instead of reacting automatically. It does not mean becoming someone who never feels anger. It means being able to choose what to say even while angry. It does not mean becoming someone without desire. It means refusing to harm others for the sake of our own interests. It does not mean waiting for a world without conflict. It means searching for ways to preserve the dignity of others even in the midst of conflict. Empty awareness is not a place of withdrawal from the world. On the contrary, it is the starting point from which we can see the world more accurately and move within it more appropriately. Hongik ingan living is a way of life that observes the world and ourselves from this place and chooses the movement that is needed here and now. Broadly benefiting the universe by broadly benefiting humanity. As human beings, let us now ask a larger question. How can benefiting humanity also benefit the universe? At first, this may sound too grand and ambitious. The universe is immense, while human beings are exceedingly small within it. Yet human beings do not exist separately outside the universe. The elements that make up our bodies were formed long ago within stars. We must breathe air, drink water, and form relationships with other living beings in order to survive. Human life could not exist without the sunlight, soil, plants, and countless living organisms of Earth. Before we are spectators observing the universe, we are parts of the universe, born and moving within it. What human beings do, therefore, is not unrelated to the universe. When one person saves another life, one part of the universe is sustaining another part. When human beings discover and share knowledge, the universe reveals, through humanity, a way of coming to understand itself more deeply. When human beings stop destruction and preserve life and the environment, one part of the universe moves to protect its own sustainability. Of course, if we destroy other living beings and nature under the pretext of benefiting humanity, this cannot be called genuine Hongik ingan. Something may be convenient for people today, but if it damages water, air, and soil, and consequently harms future human beings and other forms of life, it contradicts the meaning of broadly benefiting. The word broadly includes not only those close to us, but also strangers. It includes not only people living today, but also future generations. It extends beyond one community or nation to include all humanity. It must also consider the network of life and the earth that make human existence possible. Therefore, broadly benefiting humanity as human beings does not mean placing humanity at the center of the universe and using everything else however we please. It means using our human capacities for awareness and choice to protect one another's lives and dignity, while also benefiting the greater web of life that sustains us. Benefiting ourselves and benefiting the universe are not two separate undertakings. Because we are part of the universe, helping humanity live more fully and harmoniously also helps one part of the universe become more whole and harmonious. A process of discovering, revealing, embodying, enjoying, and living with warmth. Hongik ingan. Living is not completed through a single decision made on one particular day. First, we must discover. We look for the movements of Hongik ingan that have already existed throughout human history and in our daily lives. We can find them in those who entered danger to rescue strangers at disaster sites. We can find them in those who devoted their lives to discovering the causes of diseases. We can find them in those who shared what they had so that others could rise again. We can discover them not only in great historical events, but also in countless unnamed lives. There were people who cared for children, brought a bowl of porridge to a sick neighbor, refused an unjust order, or listened to people in conflict and helped them find a path toward reconciliation. Next, we must reveal. We do not keep what we have discovered only within our own minds. We tell these stories, record them, and share them with others. We reveal to the world that human history is not only a history of power and war, but also a history of people sustaining one another and finding ways to live together. Discovering and speaking about these movements, however, is not enough. We must embody them. To embody something means to take what we understand intellectually and, through repeated experience, make it part of our bodies and actions. At first, we make a conscious effort to be considerate. With repetition, however, we naturally begin to consider the circumstances of others. At first, admitting that we are wrong may be difficult. Yet as we repeatedly make mistakes and correct them, we learn that apologizing and making amends do not destroy us. They help us become more whole. The process of embodiment includes mistakes and failures. What matters is not becoming a perfect person who never does anything wrong. What matters is becoming a person who can stop after recognizing a mistake, repair the harm, and correct the next movement. A life embodied in this way eventually leads to enjoyment. To enjoy this life is the opposite of living in constant pain and sacrifice. It means enjoying the happiness of mutual trust, the fulfillment of helping someone, and the richness of a life that expands as we grow together. It means enjoying the joy of being alive together, rather than pursuing a victory in which I alone win and am left standing by myself. We also seek to live warmly and affectionately with one another. To be warm and affectionate means not merely applying cold principles, but treating people with tenderness and kindness. It means not loving people only as an abstract concept called humanity, but carefully attending to the words, expressions, and pain of the particular person standing before us. Discovering, revealing, embodying, enjoying, and living warmly and affectionately. These are not separate stages that we complete once and leave behind. The principle of the Golden Rule. What then is the most basic standard by which we can begin practicing Hongik Ingan living today? We can find its foundational standard for action in the Golden Rule. Do not do to others what you would not want done to you, and willingly do for others what you would be glad to have them do for you. The first standard is a life that refrains from causing harm. I do not want to be insulted, therefore, I do not carelessly insult others. I do not want to be deceived, therefore, I do not deceive others for personal gain. I do not want my rights taken away without explanation. Therefore, when I hold a positional power, I do not carelessly disregard the views and rights of others. Following this principle alone could reduce a great deal of violence, injustice, and conflict. Hongik Ingan living, however, does not stop at refraining from harm. The second standard is a life that willingly benefits others. If I would want someone to listen to me when I am struggling, I can listen to someone else in difficulty. If I would want someone to help me kindly when I am lost, I can respond kindly to a person asking for directions. If I would want someone to speak up beside me when I am treated unjustly, I can refuse to look away when another person suffers injustice. The passive principle, do not do harm, and the active principle, willingly do good, must operate together. Even here, however, we must be careful. We should not assume that other people necessarily like the same things we like. If we impose only the kind of help that we ourselves would want, our good intentions may become a burden, or even a form of violence. For this reason, practicing the Golden Rule also requires empty awareness. We may begin from our own perspective, but we must ask about and consider the other person's circumstances and wishes. Instead of saying, "I am doing this for you, so you must accept it," we should be able to ask, "What do you truly need at this moment?" The golden rule then becomes more than a moral sentence. It becomes a standard by which we recognize one another's dignity and search together for a direction that provides genuine help. Is Hongik ingan living a command imposed on humanity from outside? We now arrive at our final question. Is Hongik ingan living a command imposed on human beings from outside? Is it a new ideology established by a government, religion, or some other authority, declaring that everyone must live this way and forcing the same form of life upon all people? That is not the Hongik ingan living we are describing. Compelled acts of goodness may create the appearance of goodness, but they are unlikely to produce a living practice of Hongik ingan. Refraining from harming someone because we fear punishment, and freely choosing not to cause harm because we recognize the other person as a life possessing the same dignity as ourselves, may look like identical actions from the outside. Their foundations, however, are different. Hongik ingan living does not begin with an unfamiliar command suddenly imported from outside human life. It begins by discovering a direction that has repeatedly revealed itself throughout human history and in everyday life. Human beings could not survive alone. We survive by caring for one another's children, sharing food, warning one another of danger, and passing on knowledge. At times, human beings fought and destroyed. Yet from the ruins, they reconnected relationships, repaired institutions, and searched for better ways to coexist. Of course, directions beneficial to humanity are not the only forces within us. Human beings also possess greed, fear, and the desire to dominate. History clearly reveals war, massacre, and exploitation. We therefore cannot say that a Hongik ingan way of life will be completed automatically if humanity simply remains passive. Yet even amid this history of destruction, people have continuously saved lives, recovered freedom, reduced oppression, and created paths through which more people could be treated with respect. That flow represents an inherent and essential direction within human history. Here, the word direction does not mean a guarantee that history will automatically improve. It means a possibility already present within humanity, a direction that becomes more clearly revealed when we become aware of it, choose it, and put it into practice. A seed may contain the potential to grow, but it will not automatically become a great tree without water and sunlight. In the same way, even if human beings possess the potential to sustain one another and live together, that possibility cannot fully reveal itself unless we discover and choose it. Hongik ingan living is therefore not a life of obedience to an external command. It is a life in which we freely recognize and participate in a beneficial direction already present within humanity and the world. We are not proposing that people should become good merely because someone orders them to do so. We are proposing that we examine the fact that our lives are connected to other people and to the world, understand which movements can sustain ourselves, others, and the future together, and willingly move in that direction. In closing, today we have taken our first step in exploring the meaning of Hongik ingan living. If Hongik ingan is the value and direction of broadly benefiting humanity, Hongik ingan living is the process of embodying that direction in our actual lives. It does not remain an abstract idea or slogan. It is a life in which we observe the world and ourselves from the place of empty awareness and broadly benefit the universe by broadly benefiting humanity as human beings. We seek to discover this movement in human history and everyday life, reveal it to the world, repeatedly embody it, enjoy it together, and live warmly and affectionately with one another. The most fundamental standard for putting this way of life into practice is not difficult. Do not do to others what you would not want done to you. Winningly do for others what you would be glad to have them do for you. When this small principle becomes actual behavior in our families, workplaces, and communities, Hongik ingan will no longer remain merely a phrase in an ancient text. It will begin to live and move again in our lives today. Why not take a moment today to consider whether any of our words or actions have made another person uncomfortable or caused them harm? And why not offer someone one small but willing act of kindness? That small movement is the beginning of Hongik ingan living. This concludes Lecture 1 of Hongik ingan living. Let us live for the broad benefit of humanity. Let us live warmly and affectionately with one another. Thank you. We would like to share questions and diverse opinions concerning today's lecture with all of you. Please share your thoughts through the comments or by email. By exchanging our thoughts with one another, we will search together for the path of Hongik ingan living. Thank you.